It's the persistent rumor of a happy wife, happy life. Right?
Ah, yeah, persistent rumor. Got it.
Every time. so think about the nature of that statement. The idea is that in order to guarantee that a husband and wife have a good relationship, the wife has to be happy. But nowhere in that discussion is there any description of the efforts the wife is going to make herself happy. It's the idea that the husband has to make her happy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So her happiness is coming from the husband. Does anybody wonder where the husband's happiness is coming from?
No.
Nope.
Yeah.
And that's why guys sometimes leave the house and go fuck other women.
Yeah.
Okay. Because really, if there's going to be a happy relationship, the guy has to be happy first. The man has to be happy, because if he's responsible for everyone else's happiness, which is what that statement is about, that old chestnut, right? Then that means that he's the one filling everybody else's buckets with water. But if his well is dry, that's not going to happen. Right. So there has to be, a wellspring. I don't know how many fucking well metaphors I'm going to use, but there has to be a stasis that is achieved for the man in order for him to provide happiness for his wife and his family. But it's just another fucking ridiculous myth. I mean, we can literally, I think, talk for 2 or 3 hours about all these relationship myths and gender myths that are going on now. I'm getting some data that I'm putting together from neuroscientists, because when you get into the neuroscience, all this shit that feminists are saying turns out to be horseshit. Because it's just, I don't like people just making up stuff. You are not entitled to your own facts.
There you go.
You cannot talk to me about gender roles and biology and just make up whatever you want to make up about it. Like, there is rock solid information that is established now for decades and decades about the reality of gender differences, because there are gender differences, and men and women are not the same. And who knew that I would live in a time where that was a debate?
Right. We're not the same.
People want to debate that men and women are the same. It's ridiculous.
We're not the same, and it's okay.
Of course.
Hit like and subscribe.
And it doesn't mean that that equality isn't something worth pursuing. Of course it is. Yeah. As an immigrant and a person of color, or whatever you want to call me, I would be crazy not to believe in equality and equal opportunity. But the idea that there has to be equal outcome, there is no society that can sustain that. There's no society that I think ever really attempted it. Marxism, Marxist communism, I guess you would say, is sort of an attempt to create equal outcome, and that failed miserably. Because
every single time.
Yeah. Well, I don't even know. I don't know if it was ever really tried completely, but
yes, that's true.
It failed at the outset, because here's the thing about Marxism. It's an absolutely brilliant idea until you add people.
Yeah. It's utopian on paper. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
oh, everybody's helping each other out, and we're getting stuff done. The society is moving forward. People are
Yeah.
abdicating roles of power voluntarily.
Fucking
Yeah,
Smurfs.
this
That's
is
it.
this is spectacular. But
Yeah.
then you add people, and people are like, "Hey, you know what? Now that I'm president, I fucking like this shit." Or
Yeah.
on a more common level, just in general population, just the idea of, well, hey, it's great that I'm chopping all this wood, but I'm chopping more wood than anybody else. Shouldn't I get more than other people?
Right.
That's where it starts to fall apart immediately.
Yep.
So, you
Yeah.
know, and that's how I feel about the arguments that people are making. And some of them are calling themselves feminists and they don't even know what that means. You
Yeah.
know, feminism is not about bashing maleness. Feminism is not a guarantee of equal outcome, and feminism is not a denunciation of biological facts.
Right.
And that's what it's turned into in some segments of it. Like when I see little snippets of someone who calls herself a feminist talking about the patriarchy and toxic masculinity, I already know that she's lost. She
Yeah.
doesn't know what she's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
This idea of a patriarchy is complete horseshit. It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Not the way that some women are describing it, because they're like, oh, male dominance and not. It's like, what makes you think that life is so much better as a male?
Yeah.
Oh, you wanna shave 7 years off your life? Because on average, women live 7 years longer than men. You want to be equal to us? All right, that's your first thing. Shave 7 years off your life, sweetie. But you
Yeah.
don't want to do that, do you?
Yeah.
Oh, you want to go into mines and into onto oil rigs and digging tunnels and doing construction? You want to do all that? Huh? Do you? Huh?
Have at it, babe. Yeah.
Oh, you want to be incarcerated at a way disproportionate rate?
Yeah.
I mean,
You want do you
have
want to
at it,
balance
step
the
up.
scales in prison? Like,
I'm
yeah, like,
saying,
do you want to get
I
drafted
mean,
for war?
there's, yeah, you want to be drafted for war. I mean, the only thing that, you know, there's an advantage of, I guess, is that, males do dominate society, but males dominate virtually every society. There's over 5,100 mammal species, and only 7 of them are organized around a patriarchy. And I think it's 6.5 because hyenas are in there, and I don't think hyenas are totally matriarchal.
I think
The females are very strong in the hyena code, but
yeah.
I don't think it's fully matriarchal.
Yeah. I mean, I think really what we need to focus on is how to better cohabitate, you know? It's it's like, okay, cool, yeah, I see your point, that there's been dudes that have been fucked up in the past and we've done some shitty things to women. I understand that, but that doesn't mean that there's some sort of like, patriarch, like some, you know Wizard of Oz kind of patriarchy thing going on in the background. You know what I mean? And it's just like, all right, cool, but let's talk with some civility and some rational discourse, right? Let's have some rational discourse over what are the things that we are trying to achieve, instead of getting fixated on some emotional, right? Like, on some emotional, like, just urge, right? Because I think that's what happens with not just feminism, but with a lot of things.
I mean, I don't care if they're emotional. I just don't want to hear the bullshit. You feel any way you want to feel. That doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is that people are saying things that are patently untrue. You know,
Mm-hmm.
um, the wage gap is just patently untrue. There's reams of statistics on this. The
Right.
idea that a man and a woman that are hired for the same job and are getting getting paid 30% different is just not true. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
If where there is a slight income disparity, and this is anywhere from 2% to 7% was the highest calculation that I saw, it is because of the reality of men and women in the workforce.
Mhm.
Okay. And this is what I mean by that, because it's very specific. Let's take those two people that the man and the woman get hired on the same day for the same job, and they are making the same amount of money. That's generally what the reality of it is. They're being paid exactly the same. But now, uh, within a 5-year period, statistically speaking, she'll have 2 children. And each time she has a child, she takes off 6 months. So when you get to that end of the 5 years, the man has worked 5 years, the woman has worked 4 years. She shouldn't be making as much money as he makes. I mean, why would that be fair? Why would that be fair to him to pay her the same amount of money? He put in a
Right.
year more fucking time,
Right.
you know? Also, they tend to have to leave work earlier. They don't put in as many hours, and this is just based on choices that people make, respectable choices, of course. I want women raising children. If the man is out working and they have an option to stay home and raise children, of course, that's the best option. Why have nannies and other strangers raising your children? That's a horrible choice that people have to make because of economics.
Right.
But if that's the case, if you got to leave at 2:30 to get to your child's school, and the guy's sitting there until 5, well, there's your income disparity. Okay,
Right.
but it's not foisted upon you simply because of your gender. It's
Right.
based on real conditions that occur in the workplace, not the least of which is salary negotiation.
Mhm.
There was the story of a professor who sued her college because her male counterparts were making more money. Well, it turns out that each one of her counterparts did something that she did not do, and that is shop their resumes out to other universities.
Mhm.
So they got retention offers. They got raises based on the fact that the marketplace said they were worth more money because of their experience. And they brought back that data to the university and said, hey, if you want to keep me, you got to pony up. Well, she didn't do that.
Right.
That Where's the oppression there?
Right.